Okay, so let's get into this. We all live in this on-demand world, right?
Absolutely.
You can order food, stream a movie, book a flight, all instantly. And so you start to expect every other service to move at that same speed.
It becomes the baseline. Speed isn't a bonus anymore.
Exactly. But today's deep dive is about this fundamental business paradox.
hmm
What happens when that chase for speed, that 24-hour turnaround promise, actually starts to compromise the quality of the service itself?
That tension is, it's absolutely central to success in any modern service business. And our sources for this deep dive come from Wash Weekly.
Right.
It's a publication that really tracks the operational realities, the high-stakes decisions that these businesses are facing, especially in the pickup and delivery sector.
Or PUD, as they call it. And just for listeners who might not be deep in the logistics world, PUD basically means the company handles both pickup and return.
Right, a collection and the delivery.
Like a meal kit service, or in the case we're looking at today, laundry and dry cleaning.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really analyze the evidence. We're looking at models built on hyperspeed versus those built on, deliberate quality control.
And we're trying to figure out if this pressure for 24-hour service is driven by a genuine client need, or if it's, I don't know, just industry hype?
That's the core question. We're taking what seems like a niche problem, cleaning clothes, and pulling out these universal lessons for any business that's struggling with speed versus quality.
And the most fascinating thing in the source material, for me, is where this whole discussion started. It connects this very practical problem to, well, a world of absolute luxury.
It does. The author wasn't initially thinking about another laundry operator. They were inspired by Pierre-Alexis Dumas. He's the artistic director of Hermès.
Okay, let's unpack this. Hermès is famous for quality that takes time. A Birkin bag, it takes unhurried craftsmanship. So what does a director from a brand like that have to say about speed?
Well, Dumas made a statement that just resonates across every industry, whether you're making a saddle or, washing shirts. He said, and this is a direct quote, "You cannot compress time at one point without compromising on quality."
That sounds almost like a law of physics for business. But wait, if everyone is demanding faster results, are companies just supposed to say innovation is impossible? How do you balance that principle with what customers expect now?
That is the strategic tightrope. But the sources argue that in any process, manufacturing or service, there's a certain uncompressible timeline.
Uncompressible.
Right. It's dictated by material science, by logistics, by simple human oversight. You just can't rush chemistry.
Okay, so for a laundry service, what does that mean in practice?
It means you skip the chemical dwell time you need for tough stains. It means you rush the drying process, maybe at temperatures that damage the fibers. Or you end up folding clothes that are still a little damp, which leads to mildew or wrinkles.
So that mandatory cost Dumas talks about isn't just some abstract idea, it's actual visible damage. Precisely. You force that acceleration to hit an arbitrary 24-hour deadline. You pay that cost. But the article doesn't just leave it at that. It brings in a real-world counterexample.
Okay.
Operators who heard the market screaming for speed and did the exact opposite.
All right, let's hear it. If the idea is to resist compressing time, what did these PUD operators actually do?
They made a really strategic choice. They deliberately removed the 24-hour service option from their offerings.
Yes.
Gone.
Okay.
Wiped it from their apps, from their marketing. They basically stood up and said, we are choosing quality over speed.
In a market where 48 hours is sometimes seen as slow, that sounds like a business death wish. What was the thinking behind a move that drastic?
It was all based on pure operational reality. First, they realized that the high-speed service was putting this constant undue strain on their equipment and their staff.
Just running at red line constantly.
Constantly. Equipment needs maintenance. People need sustainable shifts. And when you're on a 24-hour cycle, you lose any buffer you might have for error correction or machine cooling or even just basic quality control.
So they were basically just waiting for something to break.
Exactly. And they also found something else. While the industry talk was all about 24-hour service being essential, their own data showed something different.
The demand wasn't actually there.
Not enough to justify the stress it caused. They were compromising their entire system for a really tiny fraction of rush orders.
So when they cut the option, did their clients just disappear?
And this is where the story really pivots. The article says emphatically that business did not drop.
Really?
Sure, they lost a few clients, the ones who truly were in a last-minute rush. But removing the hyperspeed option was, they said, the right call because it let their operation breathe.
which suggests the customers they kept valued consistency over just raw speed.
That is the absolute core takeaway. The biggest positive effect was they now had more time to invest in the quality of every single order.
More time for details.
Yes, more time for pre-spotting tough stains, more careful inspections, better load management. It reduced wear and tear on the clothes and on their equipment. They totally flipped the Hermes principle.
Instead of compressing time and compromising quality,
They expanded their turnaround time to dramatically increase quality.
they optimized for reliability, not speed. That is how you build trust. But I mean, that goes against that whole startup ethos of move fast and break things.
It does. Which brings us to the cautionary tale of fly cleaners.
Right?
The sources use this as the perfect illustration of what happens when a business is built entirely around speed.
They were a big name for a while, weren't they? What was their story?
They launched in New York City back in 2013. The promise was absolute convenience. On-demand pickup through an app, next-day delivery. It was the classic venture-backed speed model.
And the growth.
Explosive. Their client base grew by an incredible 20% each week during that first year.
20% week over week? That sounds amazing on a spreadsheet, but logistically, that sounds like pure chaos. How could they possibly keep up?
Well, the short answer is they couldn't. The sources detail these immediate mounting consequences of scaling that fast.
Okay.
As the client base just exploded, the operational side got completely overwhelmed. Their ratings on public sites just plummeted. And we're not talking about a delivery being 30 minutes late. We're talking about fundamental service failure.
What were the biggest breaking points?
It was a few things. One, the sheer volume meant they couldn't track orders properly, so more and more items were getting damaged or just plain lost. Two, their logistics infrastructure, the drivers, the routing, the physical space for sorting, it just could not handle the 24-hour promise they'd made.
And what were some of the specific complaints? Because those are the stories that really stick with people.
Oh, they were incredibly severe. Clients reported having their clothes, and this is a quote, held hostage.
Held hostage? What does that even mean?
It means the company had your stuff, but they couldn't find it in their own facility. Or they just failed to schedule a delivery. People who'd given them expensive suits, multiple weeks of laundry, were losing thousands of dollars worth of clothing.
Okay, that's not an inconvenience anymore. That's a financial and legal crisis. Your reputation just evaporates at that point.
It did. The company became completely unresponsive. Phone calls, email, social media, all just went into a black hole because the staff was drowning in operational problems, not customer service. When your foundation collapses, trust is gone. The speed you promised becomes your biggest liability.
You win customers fast with a speed promise, but you lose them even faster with poor execution. So what was the final outcome for fly cleaners?
It was sort of the inevitable, really. It happened in stages. By late 2019, they had to lay off 116 employees. The model was just not sustainable. Then, in 2021, they were acquired by a competitor, Rinse. It was basically the final signal that their speed-only model had failed. The race to be the fastest just crushed their ability to be right.
So you have these two starkly different stories. Small operators slowing down and building trust, and this huge startup that sped up and just crashed and burned.
Right, and it all boils down to a core strategic question that the author of the article puts out there.
Which is?
The author asks if businesses are making decisions based on industry statements. You know, that peer pressure that says you have to offer 24-hour service, or on factual information from your market.
Factual information from your own customers and your own capabilities.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is the author's hypothesis about how clients really behave.
It challenges that core assumption that speed is everything.
Totally. The hypothesis is that if you actually compiled the real data, the number of clients who genuinely need a 24-hour turnaround is way lower than most people think.
The perception is that everyone wants it.
But the reality is that the demand for true emergency-level speed is small. Most customers, if you give them a choice between a perfect product in 48 hours and a rushed, maybe flawed one in 24, will choose perfect, as long as you're clear about it.
So if only a small fraction of people really need it, why organize your whole expensive, stressful operation around that exception?
That's the question. And the source's recommendation isn't to get rid of speed entirely, but to position it strategically.
As an option?
Right. Express service, whether it's 24-hour or same day, should be a premium option. And this is crucial. It should only be offered based on your current capacity.
That makes so much sense. It shifts speed from being this stressful default model to a high-margin upgrade.
Exactly. You only turn on that extra stress, the overtime, the extra machine use, when the customer pays for it, and only when you know you can deliver without messing up your standard orders.
It turns speed from a cost center that hurts quality into a profit center that you manage carefully.
The core choice for any business is still there. Do you want to be done fast or done right? And the story of fly cleaners shows that if you only prioritize done fast, you run a huge risk of doing nothing right at all.
This is such a critical lesson in growth and planning. That pursuit of speed can give you those amazing growth numbers up front, but the strain it creates can just destroy the quality that keeps customers around for the long haul.
And that connects right back to your interests. This is about so much more than laundry. It's about building a business on reality, not hype, and understanding the true cost of speed.
Speed is easy to measure, but quality is what builds a reputation.
Right, and the article uses a great quote to sum it all up from Benjamin Franklin. He said, "The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten."
And you could easily substitute fast speed for low price there.
Truer than ever.
Yeah.
A customer forgets they got their shirt back in 24 hours pretty quickly when they realize it's damaged. The memory that lasts is the failure, not the speed.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Whether you run a business, manage a team, or just deal with clients, the question becomes, is the stress of designing your whole operation for the 5% who need it now worth compromising quality for the 95% who would happily wait for a perfect result?
That calculation is the real deep dive. Assessing if your current pace is a competitive advantage or, well, a ticking time bomb waiting to wreck your core offer. That's maybe the most important strategic talk you can have right now.
Definitely something worth mulling over. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.